Yes.
So what did you think of it so far?
Hi, Ashley. I loved it. I highlighted a bunch. Um, just trying to think. It's hard to think about what stuck out until I go back and read it. Um,
Um, I just like, honestly, it gets better as the book goes because the very beginning I think is kind of like bland, but when he really gets into like the nitty gritty of like building this business in the later chapters in the book, it really goes into like belief and casting vision and like what it takes to really like build this to a six figure. And like he talks about, like you have to have an obsession with your business. And like there's gonna be an imbalance. Like your life is gonna be out of balance because you're working to create like that dream. And like so it's going to cause other things to be out of balance. And so that was really good for me to read too. But that's later on. So I thought the very beginning, like where it just says section one, where it talks about personal leadership, is more about who you must become than what you have to do. And I think that's what we talk about all the time. This is like 80% mindset, it's 20% skill set. So it's like the skills can be learned, but if you go into it with a crappy attitude and a crappy mindset, like it's not going to matter what you do. And so I just wrote mindset like on there. Um, so that is, what I'm like focusing on for myself right now is definitely the whole like mindset piece. Um, I have like no negativity written down on my board. And then I told Darren, I was like, I'm not even going to vent to you. Like I'm not venting to Laura like about my business or anything. Like the negativity is like not even gonna escape from my mouth. And so I think that may help. That way it's not getting any life. Like there's no breath to it. Um, so chapter one, what really sticks out here is like to vacation and have your team explode. Like if you don't have a solid team and you go on vacation, your team kind of falls apart, right? That's not what anybody wants. Anybody, they want to have freedom, and freedom is sitting on the beach on vacation getting those emails, right? That's residual income that comes in every single month, and you're on the beach living your best life and your income is still continuing and your team is growing. So, but I like the quotes that he puts on the chapters. The function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. And that like light bulbs me because it's like, yeah, we may have, like, we talk about influencers. Well, influencers, what are they? They have followers, right? Like if you look at the Instagram influencers, they have a ton of followers and everybody wants to be like them. They want to dress like them. They want to buy the same clothes that they do. That's just having influence. That's not developing leaders, right? And so that's how I kind of like relate that. But like this is about like it may be financially rewarding, but it's about the freedom. And that to me is what I'm after, right? Like where he says doing what we want when we want with who we want. That's like my goal in life. Like I want to go do what I want when I want to do it, and I want to take the people that I want to be around. Like I want that choice. And so I think about that all the time. Like, like every job I had as like a teen, you were told exactly what to do, stand right here, do that. You can't leave that area. And that was just so miserable to me. It was like soul crushing. I was like, I want to be like one of those people that just like get to like go do things. Like I don't want to be stuck somewhere. Like, and that's like, then I got that way with my classroom, like, because I could do what I wanted inside the classroom. Well, then they micromanaged so much that they even took that freedom away. And so it's like the more freedom you take from me, the more I just like I'm gone. I want that. That's what I'm after. So that is like, I guess my vision for this is to create that life of freedom, but relationships, that's the key word, right? We talk about that all the time, relationships, connecting with people. You know, leaders of leaders versus leaders of followers. Leaders of followers need to be needed, right? And I go back to the whole Instagram thing too. They have to need followers to make money because they're sharing links to Amazon and to the things on sale or whatever business they're promoting. So they need followers so they can make an income, right? Leaders, when you make other leaders, they make you the money. And so, and I like the point that he makes here. The main goal of a leader is when I'm sitting in the audience and I get to watch you all walk across the stage. Like that's more exciting to me than it is when I'm up there, right? It's like, look what we did, look what we did together. And so that is like a life impacted. And I think that's the most important part of like network marketing right there. And so I guess it's like asking yourself that question of, are you a leader of leaders or a leader of followers? And so leaders of followers, people are dependent upon them. Like they're texting you all the time. They need you. Where a leader of a leader is kind of out there doing what they need to do and leading their team. So that was like kind of eye-opening to me because I want, of course, leaders. And like Jody and I are in that Diamond Sprint group, and Ashley, she was telling us today, you only need 4 goals. Like that's what you need. You want 4 goals, like 4 individual goals on your team, and you want them to just be able to do the same thing. Like that's the only difference between Emerald and Sapphire or Ruby and Emerald or whatever it is. It's just identifying leaders and having those leaders of leaders. So I really think that's like super duper important that we focus on, is that we're developing other leaders, that we're identifying like 4 individual gold legs. Like that's what we want. And like he says, like not everybody's going to become a leader. Like we're probably going to filter through like a lot of people, right, before we get to an actual like leaders of leaders, because you've got to mentor them and then they have to develop, right? You're pouring into them. And so it takes time as well. But that's what he says. The purpose of this book is to help you become the leader of leader. And like I said, the beginning of this book, I felt like it's kind of bland, but as we get into these chapters where it talks about like the vision and really what this takes to build that network marketing business of your dreams, like is what sold me on this book. But anyways, the part where he talks about recruiting and no duplication, like where Bill and him were like different. He was like, my focus is I recruit smaller amount of people. I like really pour into them. I work with them. I teach them what I do. And then I send them on their way, right? I've developed another leader and now they're on their own. And when you do that, you can keep bringing people in because you're not working with the same people all the time, right? So that's a leader of a leader. And then when he talks about his friend, just like really just recruiting tons of people. I mean, both can make you good money, right? But Bill doesn't have the freedom that he does, right? Because he's in his business constantly. And like I said, I don't want to be in my business constantly because I want to be on the beach when my leaders are making me money. So I think that's the difference here too, is building that team of leaders. And it says it allows you to create the freedom in your life to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. So again, most important part. So I'm going to skip over the part about Nicole, like whatever. And so at the end of the, that part, leaders, leaders, leaders. So you have to set your mind on recruiting and developing leaders. And so this is where over the past few months, I've tried to make that switch. I'm not just trying to recruit for products, even though it ends up like what is still happening, but I'm really looking for people who are ready to come into this and earn an income. And so like my posts are more business, money, income related, making an impact, those kind of things, because that's where I think it makes the shift. And when you talk to any diamond who is in momentum, they're talking about business posts. You're being more business like focused. So I'm looking for leaders. So like really having that affirmation of I'm becoming a leader of leaders. Like I'm looking for leaders, not followers. And I highlighted this because I really liked it. It's like asking yourself, how is your team doing? Like if you weren't there, how would they do without you? And that like really, I think kind of hits home too to the Diamond Sprint group that we're in. Jody and Andrea and I are in the Diamond Sprint, and they're really hitting home about having those simple systems and being strategic so that when Grandma Ruth joins your team, Grandma knows exactly what to do. Grandma doesn't need to ask questions. She doesn't need to download apps. She doesn't need to do anything. She knows exactly what to do. And on Tuesdays, we have this, and on Thursdays, we have that. And it's like consistent, and there's no question. And so that's something that we're getting our team towards is certain things happen on certain nights. And like that's going to be our calendar for the next 90 days. Like there's no August calendar, September calendar, October calendar. We're going to try this event and then that event. Like, no, it's 90 days of consistent like events and like, you know, showing up, honestly, like making yourself feel a little bit inconvenienced so that you can really lead and grow your team. So I really like the action steps and the questions at the end of the chapters, and like you can really brainstorm those, but like making a list of leaders, like, and you all are welcome to pop on and say anything at any time, but like I wrote down like Emily Gibson and Brittany Howard and Christina Williams and, you know, Jordan Roddenberry and Melissa Eichenhorst. And like you think of really like our Jessica Heffley, like the 12-star diamonds and the 8-star diamonds. And those are the leaders of leaders because they're 12-star diamonds for a reason. They've developed other leaders. And so when you think of them, like what are their traits? How do they make you feel? How do they make their team feel? And, you know, it's really, it's servant leadership. They're leading, they're loving well, and they guide. They guide with like toughness. And I feel like it's very, you know, like strict, so to say, but it's also with love because they know the potential of their team and they know what this opportunity presents and the potential that it has. So I think it's looking at the characteristics of people that you really like look up to and following them in their kind of like in their footsteps. But I really liked that. And so I just think like being bold, being confident, business focused and oriented, like really will like put you into that leader of leaders, and just servant leadership and whatever that looks like for you. But Andrea and I and Jody and I have been talking, it's just like really digging in with people and like really loving on people, meeting them where they are. You know, if they want to crawl, crawl with them. If they want to walk, walk. If they're ready to run, like you better inconvenience like yourself and be available and have your calendar full and run with them. And so the Diamond Sprint group is really good. I was definitely like kind of hesitant about that, but like it's been a good push, so to say, because you know, it's like making myself put together, like, and Andrea, you know, like the calendar and being strategic and really getting a system into place. And so I think when you can do those things, the leaders of leaders kind of like happen like naturally because they're going to be able to come in and run with this because you've got your system in place and you've already like, you've had your opportunity to like show them the potential of what this has. So anyways, did you guys have anything on like chapter 1 that like spoke to you? Oh, that's great, Logan. This ain't my show.
Sorry, I'm coming in hot. I just want you to know. I have not read it,
You're good.
and I am like downloading it tonight because I just started an accountability group in which my Zoom lasted too long. And that's the requirement of the group, is to read it within the next week and a half.
Yeah.
So
And it's such a simple read. It's so easy.
sorry, but I want to be on. So
It is so simple. I love the book. I was telling them I flew to Florida in May and I read it on the way down and then didn't have anything to read on the way back. So I read it again. So this is my third time. But every time it's just like it's like really like resonating, you know, like again, in a different place in your business as you grow, you know, I'm rereading High Performance Habits at bedtime too, because like that's something that book has really stuck with me too. But chapter 2 was Build to Last and Leave a Legacy. And the way he talks about a legacy, like, really is like kind of like I've never really understood or heard it before. And so, like, when I thought about leaving a legacy, I'm thinking about leaving wealth for my family, you know, like my kids. But like, he talks about like 7 generations, you know, like a legacy is 7 generations before and 7 generations after. So it's kind of like, it's kind of crazy. So he says leadership is not about like the next election, it's about the next generation. So it's like, who are we really impacting with this? And so he talks about finding your why, and it's like, of course, we always talk about like as your business progresses, like your why is going to change. It gets more involved, it gets more detailed. But he's like, leaders of leaders, like the why becomes bigger than themselves. It's not just about you, but it's the people around you that you're impacting. And so he says, leaving a legacy is about making life better for those who follow you than it was for you. It's about showing people how to live a better life than you ever dreamed possible. That's what I love about this, is the change of life that comes with this. It's not just the income, right? It's about everything being changed along the way. And so leaving a legacy is about you becoming the best possible version of yourself and being that person day in and day out. It's about who you affect positive change on and who you touch, how you touch people that you work with directly and in your community. So leaving a legacy is about the person who tells them that they're good enough, they're worthy, that they can live the big, beautiful, bold dream life that they have tucked away. And that is like, when I think about what we do as leaders in this company, like, look what we do for people. Like, I'm not the same person I was 6.5 years ago. Like, no way. Like, I was negative Nelly, always complaining, you know, like just totally different person. Now I'm definitely like learning about emotional maturity and like how to like really handle and process emotion and handle relationships and be able to just, you know, be able to impact other people. And so where he says like our lives are impacted by the 7 generations before us, and our lives will impact the next 7 generations. So of course our focus is on the next 7. And he's like, it touches my children because it's what I'm modeling for them. And like Andrew and I were talking about this last night, both of us have had really hard like momming days lately, and like it's so hard not to lose your shit. Like it's really hard, right? And so like when you're trying to like keep your calm and keep your like your cool, I told her it's like when I do lose my stuff, it's like the best thing that I can do is go apologize, right? I made a mistake. This is how I should have handled this. It's not how I did handle it, you know? But it's like teaching them, that's what she said. It's like breaking those generational curses, you know, like how your parents handle things is definitely not how we handle things, right? And so it's kind of like impacting, right? Because now I'm impacting Kennedy and Abram and how they are going to parent. And so it's just those generational things that we think about. And like this business is one of them. Look at Michelle and Ethan, you know, like that's amazing to me. Like that's what I want, you know? I want my kid to be like, oh my God, I want to do a mom.
y'all, listen to this for a second. This is hilarious. So Ethan, if you've watched my story or whatever, he went to work at this company. I mean, he's joined Plexus last year, but he did nothing with it. So he just got a job in Little Rock. He's 19. he's a rare breed though. Like if you'd have to get around him to understand it. He got a job in Little Rock. He's getting paid a lot of money. Like he will have, it's a good job. Anyways, so he's in this group of really, they're all from the same church. They're in this mega church, in this Pentecostal mega church. Okay. Like, and they all work together. They go to church together. They eat together. Like it's all this community. So he started like getting in with these guys. He goes to church in the morning, prays with them. He started personally training them. And he's told them about Plexus last Friday. So they all joined. He went senior silver in like 4 days. He had me do a launch party last night. I drove 5 hours to Little Rock to do this launch party. He signed up a bunch of people, but he's been with me for 10 years. Okay. He sits in this meeting and he's like looking at me like in this meeting, like he's never heard a word I'm saying. And I go, why were you? I said, I'm like dying. Why were you? He goes, I didn't know anything about what you said. And I go, like, you've been with me, but he knows, he's read through everything in the back office. He knew about the whole cruise, how to earn the cruise. He knew about like everything about everything. He's telling every person to like power of 3, get 3 people, get 3 people, get 3 people. He has a goal, 10 silvers and 100 VIPs this month. Okay. He just joined 5 days ago. They're setting up like launch events. Like, I don't even know, but it's like, so, I mean, just in the idea of legacy, like it's crazy him talking right now, like he's talking about mindset constantly. He just joined this mindset class that we're doing. And I'm like thinking about the fact that like, I don't know that we would have passed that on if we hadn't have been in what we've been in this past. I mean, Plexus, like everything just, that's what you're focused on is like your mindset and like personal growth and like doing things that are challenging, doing things that are uncomfortable. And so he automatically thinks that everything in his life should be uncomfortable if he's going to grow. It's wild to me. Like he's challenging me. Like he was asking me questions that I didn't even know today about Plexus. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, who are you? So he's like, I want to be the fastest growing diamond. Who's the youngest diamond? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. He's like, that's going to be me. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm along for the ride. Like, let's go. Let's go. But I think it's cool though. Like the elements of like what we have to offer our kids, it's way more than supplements. It's actually entrepreneurship. It's the idea that average millionaires have 7 streams of income. It's the idea that, like money management. It's the idea of helping other people. It's the idea of being generous. It's way more than just like a business model. Anyway, sorry to hijack that, but you brought it up.
No, I don't want to be the only one talking. Like, I love that. Like, that's what I dream, like I want Kennedy to be able to like choose what she wants and to like have freedom with this, and that's like, I guess I watched my dad still like in a similar, he's a financial advisor, but it's the same path. Like he works for himself and he's built from the ground up and earns all the trips, does all the things, like does very well for himself. And it's like I feel like I've got that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it may not, I don't know, it took me a while to realize that, but it was like, oh, well, I'm just like that. Like, I grew up watching him do that, contact clients on Saturday nights and Sunday nights and go to their house all week long and help them do the things. And it's like, here I am. Here I am basically doing the same thing, right? So it's crazy that you get that work ethic and you catch on to those things. And so it's like, I can only hope that like my kids are getting that too. And so I love that. But I think he says like how we spend our time, what we say, what our thoughts are, like those things impact way more than what we can ever imagine. And so, like he says, what are you leaving in the hearts and soul of others? And I know that's what Jody talks about all the time is like she wants the impact of this. Like I want to be able to impact other people and change their lives and do it, in a servant type of way. And it's like these leaders stood for what they believed in, their vision and dream created movements, which led to generational change. And like that's like the most important thing, right? Is what are we leaving behind? How are we impacting others? So and he says, don't make the mistake of dreaming small with your business. So many people get involved in network marketing and don't understand the enormity of the opportunity. And I think that's something in Plexus that we don't take small. Like we can look and see like the Star Diamonds and their trips and the income, like I don't think we take the enormity part like lightly in our company. But I know like it was like 2 or 3 years ago, I had maybe just hit Emerald and like somebody was talking to Darren. He was like, yeah, my wife does really well with Cindy too. She made like $500 last month. And like, like, yeah, like, and that's when I was making like probably what, $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And he was just like, yeah, she does really well too. Like, people just don't understand. And like, they don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to tell people. Like, I'm really not shy when people ask me it's fine, what like I make or what they can make. Like, I don't think you need to hide that. Even though he says like income is not the real gift, a changed life is. But when I look at that, like, no, money doesn't make you happy, but look what money brings people. Money brings convenience and it helps people live a less stressful life because that's what we lived before Plexus. Teacher income, he made more than I did as a manager at Home Depot. And so, which is sad, but he was bringing in more than I was, but we were still struggling. It was paycheck to paycheck. And like Kennedy was getting into gymnastics, it was going to get expensive. We only had one car payment at the time. It's like how you even go to two. And it's the normal life, people are so stressed. And I feel like all we did was like fight over money. And like, it was just a constant strain on our marriage. And to think that people have that, like, just crushes me because I know what that's like. But that's a changed life. Like to go to the grocery store and not have my credit card declined to get my nails done every 3 weeks, like that's a luxury, and that's because of this opportunity that I have. And so the real gift is being the person you have to become in order to earn the income. So that is what I love too. You've got to become that person to even earn that income. And he says that's the gift. There's no shortcuts to the top. And so when you look at people, even if they went in 6 months, they've changed, they've grown, they've got out of their comfort zone, they've sat at their computer for hours, like they've done things that they wouldn't have done before. And so he says the better version of you that you become, the more you earn. So the money is the byproduct of a better you. So it's like, I may be making more money, but I am earning that money because the person that I've become. And so I like that because it's not like you're just being handed money. You didn't win the Plexus lottery. Like, you've earned that income and you've grown as a person, you've developed and became a leader along the way. So again, the action steps I do like, but on the end of this one, it's like really looking into the future and like, who have you become? What's your ideal self? Like, what will your day-to-day activities look like? And I think that's something that is good to like kind of like vision and dream about, because like I dream about like not checking into a boss and having to request HR non-paid days so I can take my vacations and my trips and those types of things. Like, that's what I want in 5 years. I want that freedom. So I think it's really like kind of like dreaming, but it's also being like, okay, like I've got to be a leader and I've got to do the hard things, like, and really show up as like a different person. And so I've really I enjoy this book. And like I said, it's really kind of going along with like the Diamond Sprint group with Genevieve too, and like really getting like consistent and strategic and simple because that's what she says. Like when grandma comes in, grandma's got to be able to like do this without any questions. And so I think about that like a lot. Like, you know, you need this to be so cut and dry basically that it's just like, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. And there's nothing else to it. So, but the leaders of leaders and leaders of followers is really what stuck out to me a lot in this because, you know, like I said, IG influencers have followers, right? We're leaders and we want leaders because that's what brings the income. That's what makes a difference. So when you have followers, you rely on them and they rely on you. And that's not leadership. So anybody else? No? I don't want to be the only one talking, okay?
I can't wait to read the actual book. I get it Friday. Sorry, I was late to the game on that.
Well, I was telling them the beginning chapters get kind of like bland to me. I really enjoy the latter part of the book when he talks about like vision and like really what it takes to be successful in the network marketing business and like really what hit home with me in the book when I read it the first time was life as an imbalance. He's like, if you want to be top of your company, you've got to be so obsessed with your business that everything else is out of whack. Like your business is here and everything else is down here. And he's like,
Yeah.
you've got to be okay with that. Like you got to have the family talks. You've got to do the things. And that's what I really like. I like that.
I love that too. I've been doing like a mindset training where, you know, as women, I think we can easily become that, but we also are very like emotional creatures and emotions create thoughts, you know, then create actions. And so I think that also understanding how to have like huge vision and imagine like if you have a dream and a vision of being a 3-star diamond or diamond and beyond, or like whatever it is that you want, you know, you want to take your kids to Hawaii, whatever. Imagining the emotion behind it and literally dreaming of yourself, like meditating on how you would actually feel in that moment, but not getting caught up on how, like a lot of times if you go there, you start thinking, well, how that's going to happen. And you start creating all these game plans, like just allow yourself to actually create emotions around that. And your mind will actually go to work on how to actually create that. If you spend time envisioning that and dreaming that, like, I think it's good stuff. Anyways.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was telling them. I think right before you hopped on, like one of my like affirmations and goals this month is no like negativity. Like there's nothing negative like about my business going to come out of my mouth, not to my best friend, not to my husband, like nothing. Like it's just not giving it any life, like just
Yeah.
at the source.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like I believe in the whole manifestation thing. And so I think like if that's what you're telling yourself and that's what you're like saying out loud, then that's like what you believe and that's what becomes true.
Yeah.
So,
Truth.
but anyways, so we'll go 3 and 4 next weekend. Just keep it at 2, but simple. Okay. All right.
I'll read 4 chapters.
They're simple. It really is. Like I read the whole book in like an hour and some flight to Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect.
It's simple.
Well, I've been listening to it and I'm on like one of the last chapters. So I need to go back and re-listen. So I'm kind of on track with the chapters you're talking about because I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember hearing about that, but I didn't take notes or anything. So I'm like, I need to go back and listen before I come to the next one.
Yeah, that's what I like to read it and then like I have to go back. And this one was just so simple. It was just easy to do that. I don't know. I can't listen to things because then my mind goes like 50,000 other things and it'd be 5 minutes and I'm like, well, what is he even talking about? Like I just can't. Like, I got to like have the book and like I noticed the other night I was like reading that book and I like read the same page like 5 times and I was like, I obviously like the sleep gummy is kicking in and I just need to go to bed. I don't even know what I read for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I prefer to have the book too, but like it takes me like a year to read a book and like a few walks with the dog to actually listen to it. So that's that's where my problem is.
All right, girls. So I will see you next week and we'll do 3 and 4. All right.
Thank you, Brianna.
You're welcome.